Have you ever written something, looked back at it, and just felt this? That gut punch when your brilliant story has somehow turned into a complete and utter mess. Dear book lovers, welcome to another insight-packed book summary episode of Summaripedia. We are here to bring you more titles in less time. And today, we're talking about a book that is an absolute lifesaver for any writer stuck in that exact situation. In this episode, we are going to explore the important and highly practical lessons from the book Solid Story Compass by H.R. DaCosta. If you're a writer who's just tired of that endless second-guessing, well, this is for you. So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with what DaCosta calls the story identity crisis. Then we'll introduce the solution, your story compass. We'll look at a couple of real-world case studies on plot and genre, and then we'll wrap up with a little bit about the author herself. All right, let's dive right into the heart of the problem, something every creator dreads, the story identity crisis. This is that exact moment you realize your story has completely lost its way. You know the feeling, right? Your story just feels, well, muddled. It's awkward. It's kind of all over the place. And look, it happens to the best of us. You get a great idea, that sparks another one, and pretty soon your story is miles away from where you started. And that leaves you in a really tough spot. You can either trust your gut, which, let's be honest, usually just leads to this vague, anxious feeling and rewriting the same chapter for the 10th time, or you could hire a professional developmental editor. But wow, that gets expensive fast, not to mention the long wait times. But this is where the book's big idea comes in. What if there was a third option? What if you could basically become your own internal developmental editor? This is the Solid Story Compass. I want you to think of it like your story's own personal North Star. It's a simple system of fixed points that guides every single decision you make. Its whole job is to make sure that every scene, every character, every plot twist is all serving the same powerful story. Now, this compass has 5 essential points: your plot, your protagonist, your genre, the tone, and the theme. According to DaCosta, these aren't just story elements. They are the absolute DNA of your story's identity. You nail these 5 things, and everything else will start to fall into place. Okay, but here it is. This is the most important rule of the whole system, so listen up. Once you decide on these 5 points, they have to become fixed. I mean, locked in, set in stone. Why? Because this is what forces you to make the hard choices. You know that clever scene you wrote or that hilarious line of dialogue? If it doesn't align with your fixed compass points, it's gotta go. No exceptions. So, okay, how does this actually work in practice? Let's look at our first case study. This one tackles a super common problem, a plot that's having a major identity crisis. A plot identity crisis is so sneaky. It's what happens when your story secretly splits into 2 different plots. They might even feel connected, maybe by the same theme, but they're actually pulling your reader into completely different directions. DaCosta uses the movie Hancock as the perfect example. The first half of that movie is about one thing: a drunk, cynical superhero who gets a PR makeover to clean up his act. It's a classic redemption story. But then, about halfway through, the movie just slams on the brakes and pivots to a totally different plot. Suddenly, he finds out he's an ancient being with a soulmate he has to stay away from. The entire story changes gears. So, if this happens to you, what's the fix? Well, the book gives us 2 great strategies. First is forced elaboration. Basically, you just pick one plot and you commit to it, developing it as fully as you can. The second is called adapt and graft. This is where you can actually take some of the cool elements from that second plot and graft them onto your main plot to make it even stronger. Okay, now let's check out another critical point on our compass: genre. Because even if your plot is rock solid, a genre mismatch can totally confuse and disappoint your audience. For this one, DaCosta brings up the legendary burrito sequence from the sci-fi action movie Battleship. If you haven't seen it, the hero literally breaks into a store to steal a chicken burrito for a girl, and the whole thing ends with him getting tased by the cops. And look, the scene is pretty funny. It's over-the-top slapstick comedy. But the story compass makes us ask the really important question. In a movie that's supposed to be about a massive alien invasion, does this scene actually belong? And here's the brilliant lesson. This is all about genre breadth versus genre depth. Sure, the burrito scene adds comedic breadth, but it completely sacrifices the depth of the sci-fi action movie we were promised. It feels like it was airlifted in from a completely different film, and that weakens the whole experience. So, who is the person behind this incredibly simple but powerful framework? Let's talk a little about the author. H.R. DaCosta is an author who is all about sharp, practical advice. She's known for her writing series like Iterative Outlining and Story Structure Essentials. Her whole thing is giving writers tools that they can actually use, not just fluffy theories. It's all about helping you write better stories faster. All right, let's wrap this up with the key takeaways. First, you've got to define your 5 compass points: plot, protagonist, genre, tone, and theme. Second, and this is the big one, you have to fix those points. Use them as a filter. This is what will save you from those plot identity crises and make sure you're delivering on the promises you make to your reader. So now you have to ask yourself, is the story you're working on right now a single, cohesive narrative, or is it becoming that thing we all fear? Just an eruption of words. The Story Compass is the tool that gives you the power to find out. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more impactful book summaries from Summarypedia.